One of the bigger black ones, and now I've got a monster.
I think they even make even bigger ones.
What they do. Were you? I was watching, his comment. Oh, yeah. I haven't said, she's one of Mrs. And he has a channel called Tested. And he had a guest come. Talking about, the guest handmade, I guess she does a whole lot of. One of the, they were talking about is a cake maker. I keep just scrambled up, you put around it. Yeah. Where the belt tip is at, with, and they're using a smaller version of this, actually, on the belt, the hand. It's down. It's not even stuck. No, pop it on your pocket. One of the first of September.
You're leaving when the weather's still pretty decent. You're coming back in the rainy season.
Looking at long-term forecasts is, it's gonna be like your seventies.
Yeah.
So we're hoping it stays that. Either way, we've got an excursion. The 20-day long cruise ship, I think we've got.
Italy was late October on a cruise once, and it's spring, you know, just a long jacket, so you needed it for much back.
And it's such a hurt someone, you know,
I'll be in that.
maybe a one sweatshirt, or we'll buy a sweatshirt.
Not quite well.
That's not-
You know.
We'll be missing you.
Is that like my?
Crying through tears.
No, my daughter just lives in Alabama. We're flying into Nashville
So,
and then driving
and
downtown.
then I forgot.
And then drive downtown. Los City.
Okay, yeah, you joined in, checking back and forth.
And then I got public service. You were driving back. How are you doing?
Doing good, no complaints. Knee surgery. In 2 weeks. Not looking forward to that at all. My wife's calling me a wuss.
Laparoscopic.
No, we're gonna cut it all open and replace half of it. You're saying it's a 4-week recovery at minimum.
Will we have somebody here for signatures? You're gonna be gone.
Worst case, I can sign. We might have to bring them to me.
It'd be like this, Harris.
These big contracts we just got through.
You're on your schedule real quick.
Yeah, I just think for a few days I won't be able to honestly make decisions, but after that, it's just a little bit of pain management, so.
Okay,
But I will be available.
okay.
Will that be the same day?
They get in and out. I had to take a class on the surgery. And they're like, whoever's bringing you and picking you up, just tell them to leave. Because they're gonna be bored for 6 to 8 hours. But yeah, I don't know how they do that. They get you in, they do the surgery, they wake you up, and before you leave, you have to stand up and actually take a few steps.
Oh, wow.
Of course, they're like, it will be extremely painful, but you will take some steps. You know, thank you. No.
No, right? I think all the time. Yeah, no.
Oldest son was in the Philippines. And I don't know if he's going up or down some stairs, tripped, split his kneecap.
Oh,
Oh, had to cut him open. Got him wired up.
That hurt.
There for a few days, he was pretty bad. We Zoom on, well, he's Facebook Messenger. Talking.
Well, I do see at 7 o'clock, we do have Tyler Thomas online as well, so let's go ahead. I'm gonna read my opening monologue first. Hold on. Okay, welcome to the September 2024 Hubbard City Council meeting. Yeah. This meeting is being held in a hybrid format here at the Hubbard City Hall and via Zoom, as well as being live streamed by YouTube. Thank you for joining us this evening, using whichever format works best for you. And to begin this meeting, I will invite you to please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, with that, we do have a slight change in the agenda. We do have an agenda topic 4.2. You should have it in front of you about a student resource officer services for the Jervis School District discussion. So we'll fit that in between 4 and 5. Also for the consent agenda, I think we have one correction.
Yes, Public Works requests that we revise letter C of the consent agenda to read, accept and authorize City Administrator Sean Waite to execute the contract documents with Peterson Power Systems, Inc. for the generator in the amount of $134,232, and with Precision Pumping Systems for the booster pump equipment in the amount of $257,648.
So it was an adjustment on the 131.60.
Yeah.
Which is also probably wrong, so I don't think that was 131.60 cents or 131.60 euro, I guess we get a comment. Okay, with that, in terms of the consent agenda, I'll start with Councilor Thomas. Do you have any topic you want pulled out for general discussion?
I have none, thank you.
Okay, Councilor Aldrich,
I have not, thank you.
Councilor Steininger,
I do not.
and Councilor Young.
I have them.
If not, we'll go ahead and move on to our regularly scheduled agenda. The first one is public hearing continued from August 13th, 2024. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and read the opening script here, and that is, good evening, my name is Charles Rostisell. I am the mayor of Hubbard, and I will be presiding over this hearing. This is the time and place set by the public for the public hearing in the matter of legislative amendment number LA 2024-01 G Street Rezone Project. The hearing is now open. It is 7:03 p.m. Typically, at this time, the city council hears the legal script and performs declarations. However, this evening, we have a recommendation from staff to continue the public hearing on this matter until we have a planning commission recommendation in hand, which we do not. The meeting should be continued by motion to the time and date certain of the next regular scheduled city council meeting, which is Tuesday, October 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Do I have a motion to continue?
I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing until October 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m.
Okay,
I second that.
we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is that all we need? Perfect. We'll move right along then. And as you can see, we have a jam-packed room today. Okay, next one, Hubbard Policies Manual Revision, Administrator Wade.
And thank you, Mayor and Council. At the August 13th City Council meeting, staff was directed to review section 7.03.01 incentive pay of the City of Hubbard Policies Manual and come back with the recommendations amending the section, concluding review of section 6.09 employee evaluations and section 7.04 performance merit increases. Staff is recommending that the majority of section 7.03.01 incentive pay be eliminated from the manual and have the department heads manage the incentive program through performance management and the evaluation process. Management supports and encourages staff to attend training and seek professional development opportunities, but it should be part of the overall plan that benefits the city and the employee. The current city budget includes $18,000 for training and professional development for employees. Additionally, employees should not be getting incentive pay for taking classes or receiving certifications that is not relevant for future career goals, or if it's a general requirement to hold the position that the employee is currently in. If approved, a portion of the incentive pay language will remain as it is related to DPSST training and the police officers. When the collective bargaining agreement is opened again for negotiations, staff will recommend moving that language from the policies manual into the bargaining agreement. Attached to this memo is the proposed language for consideration by council. Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and walk around the room, see if we have any discussion topics, and we'll start with Councilor Young.
So we're taking out a lot of things. I mean, primary reason we put these in here was to incentivize employees to enhance their education, their background, so that way they can be more effective throughout, in this case, public works, which includes a lot of this, but the police department and administrative department, all of them, have was to get them to go after, these certifications. So we're gonna eliminate a lot of these. Now I understand it's a budgeting issue. That's the biggest thing, is a budgeting issue. And these are very specific things, wastewater treatment level 2, wastewater treatment level 3, Oregon Association of Court Administration certification, things like that. When we bring it down to, it's going to be up to the department head whether we give them an incentive or not. I would kind of like to see something maybe a little more defined when it comes to the department head. Are they going to give somebody a 2% raise or not? I mean, I like the idea of definitely reducing our overall cost. But I just kind of I hadn't really been able to think through well enough to figure out, well, it just says increases shall not exceed 2% in any one fiscal year and will not be given for training, education certificates that are required to perform the duties. Understand that within the current job description. The maximum merit increase will not exceed 10% for an employee and only will be approved if the budget allows for the merit increase. So I was just wondering if there's a better way of defining the training education certifications type thing, and that would a merit increase would be applied to. You're taking out a lot of these things, which is very understandable. I just kind of wonder if there's some way we can kind of define that a little bit better. I was looking at that this afternoon and just trying to think through it. And I think I need to take a little more time and maybe get some more input if the rest of the council has any ideas on that. That's my take on it.
Councilor Stein?
If I understand right, it won't affect people that are already earning these, correct?
Correct. So any employee that's currently receiving any incentives for what was identified in policy, that will be grandfathered in.
Okay.
This is really, and a lot of these incentives, and we do have some individuals in public works that are earning those certifications that as part of their performance plan, as far as succession planning and other things, as department heads work through that, they would identify, okay, X training will give you 2% if you complete this training and get a certification. So part of what I'm trying to avoid is people are just taking trainings to take trainings to get the merit increase or get the incentive pay. Right now we pay $7,000 annually in incentive pay. And when you think about that, the $7,000 compounds year over year. because the COLA gets applied to that, and then it just keeps going up.
And, you know, I wouldn't want to see us change a policy and then everybody's wages get cut.
Oh, I wouldn't do that, no.
I don't expect it. The other question I had was, and you answered one of them, just why the police department wasn't included, but that makes sense with the, collective bargaining.
Contract.
The
And
other
just
thing
real
was,
quick on that, so actually in the collective bargaining agreement, it already identifies incentive program for the police. So this is a little redundant, but this specific language is not in the CBA, so I would want to make sure that that gets included.
they're handled a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, part of, as people are progressing and getting the certifications to qualify for an advance, I forget the different ranks or whatever. That's, I mean, part of the benefit of getting the training is they get to be ranked up higher within the things, so I think it makes sense to not have as much just random, do whatever you feel like opportunity and more focused. I think it makes a lot of sense. That's it.
Okay, Counselor Rogers?
I am just a little confused. The police department gets incentive for 600 hours. And then another incentive for basic,
Mhm.
and then 1,000 hours, and another incentive for inter. And
That will need to be negotiated when we open up the,
when is the next, did we just bargain with them?
we did, but my recommendation would be to talk to the union to reopen the contract.
Because it seemed to me that, you know, they already had in place basic, intermediate, and advanced. 3 good steps. Is there something similar for, say, Public Works, that it's, you know, so many years and so many hours, and then they move up? As opposed to taking a 40-hour class and saying,
No, there is not.
so it's pretty heavily defined already for the police, we just gotta get that in alignment.
Mhm.
But for the rest of the departments, that's where we don't have that alignment. So there isn't that shooting for. Now, they do get COLAs and step increases. Right?
Well, so they do get step increases, COLAs are not guaranteed,
Right.
it's based on budget, but yeah, they do get
So
COLAs.
unless they're already at the top of the pay scale, then it's only a simple incentive to stay, correct? But if we hire somebody and they don't have the incentive part, but they know next year if they're doing well, they're going to get another step increase.
Right,
So there is that still there.
And my hope on this one is we see department heads developing career growth plans or development plans, basically. So instead of saying like, go and get your basic certification for water treatment, it's part of your job. You're supposed to have that anyhow. Why would you be incentivized? You're keeping your jobs incentivations on that one. Whereas if they achieve maybe so many hours or so many certifications within a year, they can accomplish it, then perhaps they can get an incentive increase if the budget allows.
Right. Like the police will have that.
Mhm.
Because there is already that standard. So. As long as there's something there that is something to shoot for.
Mhm.
Council Thomas?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, so, and my take on this one again, is this is trying to, again, get the city budget under control, number one. Number two, kind of taking the career path away from incentivizing for every class you take, but more incentivizing towards getting your promotions, going up to the next step. You shouldn't be incentivized for taking classes that you have to take anyhow to keep your job. Now, if there's an extra and beyond class, then that's probably something they should be incentivized for, something that's out of the ordinary, or something they're doing that's maybe outside of their state or their steps.
We
I think
need
it's
somebody to do something more.
exactly, which, so the incentivization should be having them to really push themselves. That's the push behind it, right? In the past, for those that have been on council, and I know Councilor Young has been on it for some time as well, we've seen these incentives that come in constantly. They take a class, they're certified, and it seemed to be rather routine. In fact, we see them usually stacking up in the consent agenda. With that, though, I do agree with Councilor Seininger and everyone else. We're not trying to retroactively take pay away from anyone. If they've earned it, they've got it. Go ahead.
So on the police certification, the 600 hours of state-approved police training, isn't that a requirement?
So I just want to clarify, I want to be careful about what we're discussing here because even though this is not in the union contract, it would be considered an item that we would negotiate with the union.
Yeah, so what I'm hearing is a clear statement from Administrator Waite that we will revisit this when we reopen negotiation contracts or bargaining, again, collective bargaining with the police union on how to revise this.
Correct.
So you're not gonna answer, or the question can be answered, I just wanna know.
I have no clue what the minimum required is for police.
The basic certification is required to be a police officer, and that's part of what I'm trying to address in this, but because they're part of a union, I have to open up the contract and have that discussion. I can't just take it away.
Understood.
Thank you.
Okay, so the recommendation that's before us, at least based on this, is to approve the revisions to the City of Hubbard Policies Manual as presented. We have a motion?
It just looks. Does it look convoluted?
Well, it's
With
very,
all those red lines to everything but.
yeah, it's basically chopping up the entire section.
Yeah. I wish we had the forethought to do it for everybody across the board at the same time.
So if council wishes, we can wait to work on this incentive piece until we're in like negotiations with the union again as well. And then make it consistent across the board.
Is that 2 years?
3 years, actually.
3 years.
We could ask to open up the contract now again and see if the union would be open to that.
3 years is a long time.
It is.
At the same time, though, in terms of current language on incentive pay, is it still based off of, is it automatic or is it based off of recommendation and council approval though? Because we do have to approve them up here, do we not?
For the police officer?
No, for just regular across the board.
Yeah, it has to be approved by council.
So we still have control over it here. It just has to be pulled out of consent agenda and talked or discussed. If it works, we can also postpone, allow council to think about it over the next month, ask questions as needed to Administrator Witt. We can bring it back in next month.
I'd like a little more time to look through this and. Like something a little more solid and like the police has, 600 hours, 900 hours, 1,200 hours, maybe not in hours spent working at Public Works or with the city. And I know this only applies to new employees. So that's, we're not out there hiring anybody right now, at least that I'm expecting to have to hire anybody.
Right. I want to be careful on that, though. It doesn't apply just to new employees. It's not retroactive to take incentives away,
Right.
but new incentives moving forward.
But let's say somebody over Public Works decides they want to get I don't know, a pool and spa operator certification. I mean, that's required for a splash fountain. And so, once this is put in place, then they wouldn't get an incentive pay for that unless we really want them to do that, or the
Well, let
department
me
head would want them to do that.
clarify. So that would be part of so what I'm trying to do is be very thoughtful in how we spend our training budget and not just the incentive pay portion. So what our department heads are doing is working with each of the employees during their performance evaluation process and say, okay, what are your career goals? What are your professional development objectives? Let's plan out this training so that we can budget for it. And you complete this training, take the pool and spa certificate and get the certification, we'll give you that 2% increase. But again, it's more thoughtful and planning.
Like an individual's development plan.
Right, because I mean, to be honest, there are certain in my career, there are people that I would not have recommended to take a leadership certification class because that's not the direction that they were going necessarily for their career. So spending that money on the training costs and then giving them an incentive for that when that's really not where they wanted to go, I didn't feel like that was good stewardship.
Understand, so.
Well, the other thing you can look at this as well is, let's say we hire a new utility worker. It's already got that certification. They're now penalized. They're not getting an incentive pay for something that someone else has with the same certification. Again, I think it goes back to what is the clear expectations in terms of certifications at each one of the utility worker levels. I'm using Public Works as an example. I'm not trying to beat on Public Works. But basically, what are the expectations for them to be able to get it done? And these are the training and classes they are expected to take. But why don't we go ahead and postpone decision? So we'll move it till October, so council still has additional time to discuss it. Is there any disagreement on that? I'm seeing nods in here, but Councilor Thomas?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right,
So Mayor, I do have one
Go
clarification.
ahead.
Is there anything that I need to be preparing for the next meeting? Or is it just time for council to come back with recommendations of?
my expectations would be council to provide feedback that they have based off of this or concerns they might have.
Okay,
So they should be able to provide it to you offline between now and the next council meeting.
okay, thank you for the clarification.
Does that work, council? Thank you. Okay, next one, convenience fee discussion. We'll hand this over to Administrator Wade.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Council. Currently, credit cards are only accepted for smaller payments such as port and utility billing. It was determined several years ago that the city would not accept credit card payments for larger transactions associated with land use, building, and SBC fees, because the bank fees associated with these credit card transactions ended up being a cost burden for the city as they were quite high. These transactions can only be paid by cash or check currently. Over time, the push for electronic payments are more of the norm, and requiring customers to pay with cash or check has become burdensome on customers as they do not carry cash or use checks. Concluding conversations with the Secretary of State, Umpqua Bank, Express Bill Pay, and other cities that have implemented a fee, staff was informed that statute does allow cities to offset the bank fee cost by charging a convenience fee. Staff is recommending that the city begin accepting credit card payments for all transactions and charge a 3% convenience fee for transactions associated with land use, building, and SBC fees. This convenience fee will not be applied to credit card payments associated with utility billing or court payments. Please note that this is not a requirement for customers to use credit cards. There's still an option to pay with cash or checks, but it provides customers with an option.
And to be very clear, this is not a revenue generating thing. It is to offset the bank fees or the merchant fees that go along with processing the credit cards.
Correct.
Questions from council? We'll start with Councilor Rogers.
Still ever getting to the 21st century.
Okay, Councilor Thomas,
No questions. We should move forward.
Councilor Rogers, not Rogers, Councilor Steininger.
We're just sure that 3% will cover the cost.
Yes, so I did talk to the bank and we looked at the average cost of what has come in, land use, what our average bank fee, 3% should be more than enough to cover them.
Councilor Young.
I have no questions.
Okay, can we get a motion then? Actually, doesn't need, you just basically need city council to agree to implement the convenience fee.
Right.
And a fee schedule resolution will be presented at the October 24th meeting. I think you heard pretty much consensus amongst us. Please continue.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next one, this will be an interesting one. 4.2, you have this on your packet. Councilor Thomas, this should have been sent to you an email as well. Student Resource Officer Services for Jervis School District discussion. I'm gonna let Administrator Wake kick this off before I add 2 cents.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Council. The Jervis School District Board of Directors has asked Superintendent Stevens to discuss with the City of Hubbard the potential of the Hubbard Donald Police Department providing student resource officer services for the Jervis School District. There are many unknowns, and staff is recommending that we meet with the superintendent to discuss any details of the request and report back to City Council during the October 2024 City Council meeting.
So my 2 cents on this one real quick, and we'll open up discussion as well, is this one concerns me a lot. A, we're not staffed for this. B, Jervis is a long ways away, in all honesty. I think if they're looking for an SOR that is not the Jervis Police Department, they should be looking probably to Woodburn, Mount Angel, and Kaiser, or even Salem. I think they're better sourced, better resourced, et cetera, to be able to do it. I think I'm very honored at the end of the day that the school district down there would actually think of the Hubbard Police Department as a place to go, with a high recommendation coming from the North Marion School District of the services that we provide. I just don't believe we are in a position to offer anything in the shapes or form of a resource officer down to Jervis right now, by staffing, by vehicles, or anything else. That's my 2 cents. I just wanted to throw it out there real quick. I know this kind of took a lot of us by surprise. I didn't even know it was on the agenda until earlier this afternoon. Councilor August, your thoughts?
We've kind of been snowballing really quickly over the last 6 to 7 months. I think we need to, I agree totally with the mayor that maybe we need to let some dust settle and then see where we're at. Staffing and, we're offering more things than just this one for the police department now. I would think we could hold off, but I do think it's very honored to be asked by another agency to get the professionalism we're showing. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay. Councilor Thomas?
I do not think we should move forward at this time with Jervis. They have their own police department. I think, have some needs we need to meet here first in our own city. So I would advise not moving forward.
Okay, Councilor Steiner?
I agree with what everybody else has said. It's a huge honor for our police department to be asked, but I think it's too far right now for us to stretch that direction.
Councilor Young?
I'm just kind of looking through this package here. They do say that City of Jervis, however, due to many circumstances beyond our control, that position is no longer being filled by the city. So there's what's going on there, that they're not being serviced by the City of Jervis Police Department. Yeah, it's a long ways away. That's the first thing I'm thinking is if we have to respond from Hubbard to Jervis, then we have to go through Woodburn. Of course, I'm sure it was a 911 situation that'd be different, but we got to go. I don't know what happens, kids fighting or need to investigate somebody's lock or something like that. I don't know what the ins and outs would be on an SRO in those situations. But again, it's 25 minutes. And then you got to slow down, go through Woodburn down there. Right now we have our own staffing issues here. So I would be curious to maybe make a phone call and say, well, what is it you're actually looking for? But I don't think it would really be well supported by Hubbard. I mean, there's other departments a lot closer to them. Chief Parisi, you've heard the council up here. I'd like to get your input on this.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Mayor and Council. You guys are spot on. I think you're covering a lot of the same concerns that City Administrator Waite and I have visited about as well. I've also visited with current staff in the police department, about also. I think if we were fully staffed, that would be a different story. And with everything else going on right now as well, I think waiting to kind of see, how the future rolls out would be preferred, especially if there's talks of another neighboring city potentially wanting to join, for us to provide police services. I think those talks have been in discussion for a lot, longer and would be a higher priority and whatnot as well. So, and that gives us more time also to try to fill that last position that we have. So I think you're all on the right track.
So I think Administrator White, what we're going to say here is respectively decline, but at the same time, touch bases with them, let them know the reasoning. and not ignore them, obviously.
Oh,
We want a good partnership with them, but I think, yeah, we're just not in a position at this point in time.
okay, thank you.
And moving on, appearances of interested citizens. I just cannot speak the last 2 months. I don't think we have anyone online, or do we?
No.
Okay. And anyone in the room want to speak? Chris says no. Okay, we'll move right along then on the meeting. Next, mayor or council presentations. I want to use an opportunity here on my soapbox as a mayor, just to thank the city council for the amount of work you all have put in over the last few years, and for some of us even longer than that. I had a great opportunity to speak with Administrator Waite last week, where she mentioned that the city staff is busy, but busy in a good way. Busy with a direction that we've given them, with goals that we want to see accomplished, and with what we've done as a council. We've been showing good leadership. That leadership is the result of 5 individuals up here working as a team, and not just one individual or just a handful. So from a mayor's perspective to our city councilors here, I just want to say thank you for the dedication that you guys have shown to the city, for the leadership that you've shown. And I'm also greatly appreciated over the last few years, even though we have had times we've disagreed, we've committed, and we've moved forward. That shows the strength of a good, solid city council. I know we have 2 councilors that are going to be departing us this year, and I'm going to greatly miss their counsel and guidance for sure. And hopefully we will backfill them with just as dedicated individuals as well. But again, just thank you very much. And thank you to the city staff for dealing with sometimes our ins and outs of discussions, our roller coasters, our peaks and our valleys of discussions. So thank you to city administration as well, and the police department. So that's kind of where I want to stand real quick. The other thing I do want to mention is I did get a chance last week to attend the Friday football game. We did get slaughtered. It was pretty bad, but our team gave it their all. But I had the opportunity, I was approached by both the principal of the high school as well as the superintendent, both of them thanking us, the city, for the partnership that we have with them, and letting us know, or at least making sure I knew, that it had already paid off in a good way for the high school, and they truly appreciated our presence there. So again, great job, police department, great job, city staff, great job, city council, on looking after our neighbors for sure. That's all I've got. City councilors, we'll go over to Councilor Rogers.
I don't have anything, thank you.
Okay, Councilor Thomas.
I have nothing, thank you.
Okay, Councilor Simon.
I have nothing.
Councilor Young.
I have nothing today, thank you.
Awesome. We'll move right along then to administrative report outs. We'll start with Administrator Wade.
Okay, thank you, Mayor and Council. Bird rate report is attached to your packet. The city is 17% through the fiscal year. As stated during the budget development process, the budget was not structurally balanced, and the adopted budget at the beginning of the fiscal year had an operating deficit of approximately $129,000. Since then, the costs continue to escalate above what was budgeted, which means the operating deficit is increasing. Increased costs from Metcom, gas utilization, court operations, and PGE are exceeding what was budgeted. Staff is working on mitigating some costs by delaying the hiring process of the vacant police officer position, and holding off on some planned expenditures until after the November property tax revenue is received. Staff will be updating the 5-year forecast for the January 2025 City Council meeting, in which it will reflect the projected year-end balance for this fiscal year. And then also there's a letter of support attached to this packet, and the letter is addressed to the Marion County Commissioners for work that the North Marion Tourism Collaborative is performing. The collaborative is applying for a grant through the Ford Family Foundation to fund the cost of the consultant that will assist with writing an economic development strategic plan. The Ford Family Foundation is requesting the letters from the collaborative participants prior to considering the grant applications. So I do need approval or direction from council if they would like the mayor to sign that letter of support.
I don't see something on the consent agenda. You just want us to make a motion if that's the case now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, real quick, before we move on to that, is there any general discussion or concern about me signing the grant application if it arrives? Or the letter, I should say?
Yeah, it's a letter. We have already entered into an IGA
Mhm.
with the collaborative.
Right.
We're not sure why the Ford Family Foundation needs a letter too, but we're
Being proactive.
proactive.
Counselor Audrey, do you have any concerns? Counselor Thomas, do you have any concerns?
No,
Counselor Steininger?
Well, there's this one, no, it's good.
That sounds like me.
Counselor Yonley?
It's good, I'm fine.
Okay,
Thank
you
you.
have a consensus for that.
Okay, and then staff is organizing a free trunk and treat event for October 31st from 4:30 PM to 7 PM at Reminisce Park. The businesses or community members that would like to enter a vehicle need to register with City Hall. There is no fee to participate, and staff will be generating flyers that will go out shortly for both participants and community members that would like to trunk and treat on the 31st.
Now, I love this idea. I do have a question. Is there any mechanism in place to prevent something that could be considered not appropriate for the community?
So that's why we're asking people to register. So I'm gonna find out what their design or costume ideas are and make sure they're family friendly.
Okay, that would be my biggest concern. It just dawned on me now, thinking, oh, wow.
Yeah. Right now, we do have a commitment from, the fire department, and then Public Works and police will have vehicles there. Staff's gonna decorate their vehicles and have them. Safeway has said that they would donate some candy, so, yeah, we're making some progress. I'm excited for this one. It'll be
Excellent.
fun.
We've had pretty sponsorships in the past, it's always come off well. The city hasn't actually run it itself. It's usually Linda Plazinski and the various organizations she's been involved in is kind of a spark plug behind the pastures. And always have fun over there. So.
What kind of bags is Public Works giving out, Dougie?
Those are expensive. Have you seen how much it is?
Just said it before.
You get to dog me back. The last movies in the park was not well attended as the weather was not very good. However, staff is working on dates for next year. We plan on showing 4 movies, one in June, July, August, and September. The Ford Foundation or Ford Family Foundation and I have been working on the funding for it. Looks like everything's gonna go through, so I'll be coming to council, once they finalize their part to accept the grant award for that. Staff will be installing 2 stop signs at the intersection of Fifth and B Street, creating a 4-way stop. This will enhance pedestrian and driver safety around the park. We've had multiple complaints and concerns about the speed through that area, and given that that is a park and a crosswalk area, this will help provide a safe travel path. We will have traffic control change signs put up. I don't know the status of the signs, but we'll keep council posted as we move forward. There is some other city business that isn't included on my report that I wanted to seek council direction on. This morning, Miss Eldon from the Hop Festival came to City Hall and informed me that they were no longer going to be able to run the Hop Festival as they had not received any volunteers to assist with the event. She said that she had talked to the fire chief about taking over the event, and the chief will discuss this with the fire board. But she also inquired if the city could either partner with the fire district or take some of the responsibility to see the event go away. as staff is there. And as this is the main event in the community, this is something that the community looks forward to every year. Staff is seeking council approval to meet with the fire district and remaining members of the Hop Festival to discuss logistics, budget, and level of effort needed to put on this event. And then staff will return to city council with a recommendation during the October city council meeting.
So my 2 cents on this one is I can understand the pain that they have finding volunteers. It's very difficult to find volunteers, especially the staff, anything, that's a committee. I have trepidation on whether the city can actually do the amount of work, because it is a lot of work to put on an event. But in discussions with Sean earlier today, she would still like, and the staff would still like the opportunity to at least have those discussions, open those discussions up with the fire district, as well as have discussions with the current or existing members that are remaining on the Hop Festival committee. So my take is, yeah, let's talk. Let's see what maybe can be done and see if we can have a recommendation over the next couple of months on what possibly could be salvaged for the Hop Festival. That's my 2 cents. Councilor Aldridge?
I agree. I would hate to see it to go away, but then again, I don't think it should be a city burden.
Yeah.
We throw our support the best we can, but I don't want to see city staff stepping up to do more than what they should.
Councilor Thomas?
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I think we should at least pursue it to see what it would look like.
Okay. Councilor Steininger?
I feel honestly like I'm way too involved on both sides of this, so I think I'm gonna just step out of the conversation.
No worries at all. Councilor Young?
Yeah, it's, yes, we should talk to the fire districts and see if they, can help out or, take over a big part, but I know for many years, they were the ones that, was there, but a lot of their staff moved on for various reasons, retired, moved to another state, things like that. A lot of the people that ran it, were no longer there. And the new people came in, just didn't have the time or the energy to put into it. And then, of course, COVID hit, that knocked us down. And I was happy to see that we had a committee come in to get the thing moving again.
Committee's done a good job for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, right, really please. But yeah, I'd like to see it continue, definitely. And if there's some support that I can put in there, I'd like to do that, so, yes.
Okay, so I think you'd have consensus for us to at least engage in discussions and see what would be recommended.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Other discussions, thank you for the stop sign. I completely agree that that needs to be a 4-way stop, and I are one of those that inch forward to try to make sure that there's not a car speeding down that road before I turn left or right. So, yeah, I think that's a great decision.
I've been surprised that there wasn't one every time I drive through there. So.
Yeah.
Well, when I go through that, I'm always worried about some little kid jetting out between 2 cars and, along there.
Especially when they're just hanging out right around the restroom and you're just waiting for them to.
And I slow way down.
Okay, now before we move on from this, is there any additional questions on this report from Councilor Aldridge?
No.
Councilor Thomas?
No questions.
Councilor Steininger?
I think we did mention the moving the park, and I didn't get a chance to say thank you when we were there, but my daughter and I really enjoyed it, so.
Even though it was
really-
cold.
It was a cold, it was a really fun event, so thank you for putting the work out, even though I know it wasn't as, not many people made it.
I was afar when it was going on, but I was following the discussions on Facebook, and a lot of folks thought it was gonna be canceled because of weather or were concerned, so. Okay, Councilor Young?
I have no questions. And no further questions.
With that, let's go ahead and move on to the police department and Chief Parisi.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you very much. August was a busy month. It's actually the second month of our contract with the city of Donald, and just wanted to report that's still going as smooth as can be. There have been no hardships to the services that we've been providing for Hubbard or Donald. We've been able to meet the dedicated hours and then some as well. And we've also been able to investigate a couple different criminal investigations with some success also, which has been exciting and encouraging as well. We had National Night Out on August 6th. That was a great event. Officer Marshall and I were able to attend the block party over at the Cary Lane Park. And that was a great time. We had some good food that was shared by all the residents, and the fire department joined us, and we shared our police car and fire truck with the kids and the parents, and passed out a bunch of stickers and just answered questions, and just had a really great time and good conversations. So definitely strengthened relationships there that evening, and while promoting public safety and all that good stuff too. So Officer Marshall and Officer Bentley were able to attend some active shooter training, which was hosted by Silverton PD on the 7th of August. So that was really good for them to go to there. And we're very thankful for Silverton to invite us. We're almost a month into our pilot program with the body worn camera project, and that's been going really well. We've got some really great feedback from the officers who are using it, and also from the DA's office as well. And so we're still going strong with that. On that note too, we're really happy to share that we received a grant from City County Insurance for the purchase of the body worn cameras and in-car cameras and whatnot too. So in the amount of $10,000. So that's exciting. That'll certainly help. And let's see here. Went to some other training with Woodburn PD that hosted legal updates with the Marion County District Attorney's Office. So a big thank you to Woodburn for having us there as well. Sergeant Anderson attended a town hall meeting in Salem on the 1st of September regarding the House Bill 4002. Which just came into effect on September 1st with the recriminalization of drugs and whatnot. And then was able to participate on the 28th with a back to school event at the North Marion School District. That was a great time. Again, with Aurora Fire Department was there that day. And, we just had a great time with the families and all the students and whatnot that are going to be coming back. And it was just a great experience. I also want to highlight too something that wasn't in my report, but I just remembered prior to the department actually hosted a comprehensive baton training and handcuffing training because of Officer Glenn Bentley, who had the idea and brought that training to this area. There were about 30 attendees, and we were able to use the facilities at the North Marion School District, which was great. And this is real valuable training. It was at no cost. And so I just want to applaud Officer Bentley for having the forethought to bring that here, and a lot of different agencies and security personnel attended. So it was really good. And I think that's about it.
Excellent. Any questions for Chief Rash? We'll go around Chief Parisi. Well,
Do we have need like a long name jar?
okay, with that though, Counselor Aldridge.
It's only been 6 months.
Yeah, right. True.
Do we have a drop-off point like Portland does for narcotics? People that are picked up? Like a detention, not detention, but a deferral, or do we have one locally? Can we take them to Loving? Can we take them to the homeless shelter or something like that?
Yeah.
Do we have one in Marion County?
Good question. So, we typically will connect them with a lead representative or a navigator with the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program. And then that navigator, once the connection's made there, can assist them with any sort of housing type needs and things of that nature as well. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, Counselor Thomas,
No questions, thank you.
Counselor Steiner.
That baton training, when I randomly made it to the school that day, and sounded like they were having a lot of fun with the training, but also it looked like they were really getting into it. Everything on here is really great to see. Thank you.
Counselor Young.
So you mentioned you got a $10,000 grant. So what's that equate into cameras? Is that 2 cameras, 5 cameras, or how's that going to help us out? I mean, what are we going to buy or use it for? Is that?
Yeah, so I think we would intend to utilize that grant towards the overall price of the total package.
So the first year cost to implement is approximately $25,000. So we have $10,000. And then there's some other grants that we'll be seeking to offset the remaining costs.
Mhm.
So we'll be working on that.
Right, that's what I, you know, and I've got some things that you and I want to talk to you about after. First, personal things.
Out of camera range.
Generally speaking, Chief Parisi, thank you for your continued professionalism, your positive attitude that you're bringing to the city, to the school district, et cetera. And thank you for your continued dedication, even over to Donald. I'm hearing good things over there as well. So hopefully we can continue to foster and build that relationship. If there's no other questions, we'll move on to the administrative department and Director Noel.
Okay, I just wanted to, let you know that the administration department, Julie and Megan have really been working hard with this, increased court and monthly utility billing. We had 51 utility customers that didn't change over to monthly billing, so there was a lot of trying to explain the process and where we advertised and, you know, did outreach. And then we had to reverse those charges on those accounts, so that we got everybody, hopefully, we're getting everybody. I think so.
Well, you guys made the right decision on that. When I wrote it on my corner notes, I said, that was the right decision. That's-
So, and if you really want to know what's happening in Hubbard, you guys gotta come down on Wednesday, the first Wednesday of the month. We got court going on, utility billing customers coming in, and they are working hard at the counter. We've got, I put some stats down there for what we brought in for the month. This is probably, we're kind of like behind a little bit, you know, citations, we're gonna get our citations, then we get our money the next month kind of thing, because they issue the citations and then they issue them into the court for the following month. That makes any sense, but.
Yeah, makes sense.
So this Wednesday, just for the day for court, brought in approximately $5,600 just for that one day. So, you'll be seeing that on the next, report for next month, so. They're getting their exercise up and down to the counter, back and forth, so. They're doing great.
Well, I see what Chief Parisi brings in for you guys to eat, so it's a good exercise.
Right. I also did put on my report, who's gonna be on the ballot for running for mayor and city councilor. And we have one open position, some potential write-ins. Also the, explanatory statement for the ballot for the psychosylate.
See, I'm not the only one.
The mushrooms. That's all ready to go, so you'll see that on your ballot. I just have a few other stats on my report, if you have any questions.
We'll start over with Councilor Yonah this time.
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Councilor Stanninger.
When we have an open seat, what is the process?
When we have, I'm sorry,
If we have an open seat, and I'm assuming it's too late to sign up to be on the ballot officially at the, what is the process to fill the seat?
so at that point, it's a write-in ballot, so whoever gets the most write-in votes would be able to take that seat.
Okay.
They would have to accept the seat,
If they get the most votes,
right?
right, votes.
And last time Donald Trump did not accept the fire bill when he was written in, if I remember
He
correctly.
wasn't qualified to do that.
Okay.
But he might be on this one, who knows?
Last I knew, Mar-a-Lago is in Hubbard, so.
I think we have to
Arthur.
Any other questions?
No, not at all.
Counselor Thomas, any questions?
No questions, thank you.
Counselor Rogers?
No questions. It's just nice to see him smiling when I come down to sign checks where you were gone, so.
Yeah, they're always laughing. It's a sugar high, I tell you. Okay, we'll move on to Public Works Department and Superintendent Oliver.
Thank you, Mayor and counselors. So for our public works team, these weeks, months are literally flying by, but, our team is working really hard. We're making a lot of really good progress on all of the different, tasks and, whether they're regular, special requests, all of the big and small projects that we have, in the frying pan, so to speak, and they're doing an amazing job. I'm really proud of all of them. One of our biggest accomplishments here recently was completing the biosolids disposal project. That was critical to happen, and we had hard deadlines when that had to happen. And it took a lot of teamwork, a lot of working with the outside agencies, DEQ, Marion County, and keeping our project on the forefront of what we needed from them to be able to do what we needed to do. Team did great on that. A special shout out to Public Works Foreman Mike Krebs and Utility Worker 2, Juan Hernandez. They had also some equipment adjustments that had to be made prior to being able to haul because we were hauling such a significant amount. The line stabilization process that has to be done ahead of time, tremendous amount of physical hard labor, and they just powered through that, and everything just worked like it was supposed to. And critical path project things stayed on track, and we were able to get it done. So that was huge. Like I was telling our project team, so we get a second to sit back and say, yay, good job for us. But then we got to power on because we've got so many other projects that are moving forward. So, but that was a really good feeling to have those tanks empty. So, the splash fountain, yeah, the splash fountain, as you guys. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
It's a crap one.
Oh, goodness. But so splash fountain season did end,
Then restarted.
and then it started, which was good. That was a great call. And it sounded like the kids, were able to enjoy it through kind of that last spurt, unseasonably hot weather. So that was a good thing. The monthly meter reads, as I mentioned in my report, those for Public Works is going really well, but we've already gone through our routes and figured out the higher priorities where we want to get those radio reads installed, replaced, because those are for the places where there's multiple distance that have to be traveled in order to get to the meters. We've already started on that, and we're well on our way to getting all of those trouble spots installed, hopefully by this coming meter read on this coming Monday. So we're excited about that because that'll save a lot of staff time and effort. We're also gearing up to start our sewer and storm line clean out project. This is something new for us. We haven't done this in-house before. So Mike has been putting in a lot of time figuring out what we need in order to do this. And we're mapping out the areas that are going to be our first priorities, and then we'll do different areas in a 3-year rotation, basically. So we're actually excited to try that. We've got the equipment and we're ready to rock and roll on that as well. I had mentioned that Utility Worker 1, Bill Doversberg, was going to be attending the cross connection specialist training. He did attend that and he was successful. He passed it was a 4-day training, and then they have a state exam after that, and he passed with flying colors. So I'm really proud of him for that accomplishment as well. And that kind of fits in hand with the recent drinking water certification that he received. He had to have that drinking water certification in order to be able to sit for the exam for the cross connection specialist. So he's definitely on his way for career advancements, things that like what Sean was talking about. So that's really exciting. He's doing a great job. And other than that, I am really excited about, I'm hoping to have by the next meeting, if not by the October meeting, by the November meeting for sure. I'll be ready to have the new project management software in place. And so your project dashboard is going to look different. But my hope is that it's gonna be a lot more user-friendly and be a lot more complete, and be easier for us to track all of those multiple projects that we have, whether, from very small to very large. So I'm excited about that happening in the near future, so.
Just a few questions. Number one, I don't know what you guys have done. I don't know if it was rebooting the water treatment or whatever, but my neighbors and myself even have noticed an increase in water pressure. Enough that it's like, wow, okay, it's been increased. And again, I don't know if it was when we rebooted it back a couple of months ago or did whatever we did with the water fountain, but I've had a few neighbors come over and like say, hey, great work, the water pressure's better. I'm like, how have you done that? Something's been done. I don't know, something's changed, so.
Yeah, actually, Councilor Yonley had mentioned that as well, that he was noticing an increase in the water pressure, so.
And either that or someone somewhere turned off their hose. I don't know.
The leaks have been fixed.
The other one, sidewalk on G Street across the railroad tracks. Are we any closer to getting that closed up before this season
We
begins?
are. I am very hopeful. So right now it is back in the railroad, Union Pacific's hands. The contractor is on board. They've done what they needed to do to get their application and into Union Pacific, and now we're just waiting for Union Pacific to sign off on it. So, I am very hopeful that that's still gonna happen within this construction season this year. And we're following up with Union Pacific as well to try to push them, saying we really need to get this done. This has been going on for years, yes.
And what about the tennis courts? The hope was to do it in September. We're in September. Are we gonna see that project completed before the end of the season as well?
Yes, the contractor, well, assuming that the consent agenda is approved, then the project will be awarded to the vendor. And his schedule, he said, looks like he would be about 2 to 2.5 to 3 weeks out. And at that point, then he would be in and working on the project, so
Just gotta hope for an Indian summer then.
that would be good.
Those are the questions I have. Councilor Rogers?
The sewer storm line clean out, is that to mitigate the
Clogs,
street again?
yeah. That's a preventative maintenance.
That's great. I'm glad to see that's on.
Yes.
Great forethought on the splash fountain, because I thought about that when I came back from the lake. I'm like, geez, it's hot and heaty's out here, and they're supposed to shut the thing off, and then all of a sudden we get an update. We turn it back on. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that was, thank you to City Administrator Sean for asking if we could do that, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I really do think that last couple of months, it does seem like we're seeing more projects. We as a council have always asked for projects that the community can see. And the last go around of painting the sidewalks, I mean, there were some that were not, and then all of a sudden they're all done. So everything is getting done, and it's really looking good, and I really appreciate Public Works now. Seems like it is really flowing and looking good.
Excellent. Thank you. Councilor Thomas? Oh, did we lose Councilor Thomas? Yes, we did. Okay, Councilor Simon.
No, I just appreciated seeing the fountain on. I was back to work those evenings. It was great. It was always full of kids. Every day was hot. So, yeah, that was a great idea. And yeah, congratulations on getting rid of all of that waste. Great job. Thank you.
Councilor Young?
Nothing specific. I did have a question on the report, but you said we're gonna get a new report next month. So
Yes.
I'll just take a look at the new report.
Okay, perfect.
So that'll probably resolve when you do the transfer of the information.
Wonderful. Moving on, I don't see Chief Carmen on, so we can skip that. We'll move on to consent agenda. I'll go ahead and read the consent agenda topics. A, approval of the August 2024 check register report. B, approval of the intergovernmental agreement between the state of Oregon and the city of Hubbard for the Motor Carrier Safety Assistance Program Federal Fiscal Year 2025 and authorize the mayor to sign. Accept and authorize City Administrator Sharon Wick to execute contract documents with Peterson Power Systems, Inc. for the generator in the amount of $134,232 with Precision Pumping Systems for the booster pump equipment in the amount of $257,648. And that is amended from what was written in the original consent agenda. D, accept the CIS Public Safety Grant for fiscal year 2024-2025 in the amount of $10,000 for the purchasing of BWC's body worn cameras. And E, accept and approval of $129,501 for the completion of the tennis pickleball court refurbishment project and authorize city administrator Sean Wake to execute Hall's construction proposal and contract documents upon approval by legal.
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda as stated.
I second that.
We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. That will carry unanimously. And with that, any other city business? If not, we only have one agenda topic left.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. By the way, everyone, I have brought it, maybe I have asked if we can reduce this. Ways, it's, I know we're doing, we haven't seen much more of it, but I don't.
I think it went through here about, 6 months ago. When that was.
Yeah, I've got, I think it's
It all.
yeah, I've got them 5 bad ranges for these.
Okay, bye.
So we're trying to see what we can do to reduce them.
Well, do we need the, all those pages of the budget?
That's what I'm saying, we can have a copy down here and an electronic copy.
Yeah, and, just tell us summary.
I think at the end of the day, we'll